I think the most tragic thing about this week's episode of Fire Force is the realization that basically rock music, it's pretty much dead in this world, and you can only find samples in a museum. And I'm sitting here like, I do not want to be a part of this world for numerous reasons. The whole idea that you can just spontaneously combust and die and as your loved ones watch you, that's pretty horrifying, but I'm gonna be honest, the rock thing kinda did take me by surprise. I'm like, goddamn, this world is just, it's just hit after hit for them, and I kinda love it for that. But on a more serious note here, this episode, beautiful. I am just stunned every week by the level of quality that we're getting to experience with the second season. Comparing where Fire Force started out, a very strong start to me, a couple of bumps along the way, but season 1 was a banger. I loved it. I thought it really had the chance to become something special in the world of battle shonens, and holy shit, only what, are we 5 episodes into this now? 4 or 5 episodes into season 2, and I can already see the potential of this being one of my favorite battle shonens of all time. Especially depending on how they leave us off with season 2, which I hear is basically gonna catch up with the manga, so we're not gonna have much more Fire Force after this, or at least for quite a while. So I'm hoping they go out with a bang and continue the momentum, because not only are the fights getting more impressive, the character arts are getting more intriguing, and it just feels like the stakes are getting higher and higher. This could have been something to the same category of the Great Fire that took the city by storm, and they're able to hold off on it. So imagine where the escalation can now go after dealing with what we just dealt with, and knowing that we still have our boy Shinra having to fight off against someone who is an absolute beast and has playing a bit of a lie up until this point in the anime. I totally bought into the whole idea that he was a third generation. I did not question it, similar to Shinra. It just made sense based on the fact that every time he walked, he was setting off an explosion left and right, and everything that he did was basically being thrown back at him. So I absolutely bought into it, and when they started kind of like shifting around perspectives, talking about the whole second generation, third generation, I thought it was kind of weird, and I thought it was an issue. Like, are they just rehashing the same ideas we've already come to know about how second generations can use other people's flames and things like that? But as it got going, I realized, oh, this is why our boy Shinra was asking what generation, because this man isn't actually doing this all himself. He's actually using others' flames to reflect back, and because he's just such a Goliath of physical strength, it makes total sense what's been happening up until this point, meaning my boy Shinra's got it now. It was really interesting because we're not even finished Shinra's fight yet, but it feels like I thought, he's dead? No, wait, okay, yeah, he's definitely dead. To then, oh no, my boy's got it. He's cracked the code, and that still wasn't enough. And by the time he finally landed a blow on Charon, I was like, okay, he did it. Because this is a battle shonen, right? Typically when the big bad villain finally gets that annihilation blow, that's all there is to it, and then he came down and smashed his face, and I'm like, this show is not playing by the traditional rule set, where if you have a very powerful opponent fighting one of your main characters is going to get obliterated for some time. Maybe he'll get a power of friendship, or he'll just unlock some new move, or in the case of Shinra, he finally cracks the code of how to use his powerful move in terms of the encouragement that he needs to do in believing in himself. So that wasn't going to be cliche if he took him out in that blow, but then they say, no, we're still going to continue the fight, but I'm actually pretty impressed. You're the first person to deal damage to me in a hell of a long time, and I'm like, how do you continue this fight? Like, where do you go from here, Shinra? And the fact that Fire Force, after being so many, I think we're 29 episodes total into Fire Force right now, and traditionally this would feel like you know what to expect with the fight, but the fact that you summon a Demon Infernal, there's only ever been 2 that's ever been defeated, 3 now, and you're like, how do you deal with this? Oh, you basically make a railgun by using a fire tornado, and how cool is that? That is absolutely fantastic, and we're definitely going to dive more into that side for sure. But it was really nice having the unpredictable elements and just the fact that it felt like, what are you supposed to do? And it almost felt like we were Shinra, but not getting the pain that he was. We're just like, okay, this has to work. That's not going to work. Do you just run away at that point? Like, what do? You need like Arthur? Like, what exactly are you supposed to do? And I absolutely love that every time an explosion happened, it remained to be visually impressive, but also distinct from the last, as if Shinra actually was trying different things. Even if he was still kicking or punching and you saw flames, they were different than the last. It didn't feel like just repeats, and I love how many times we see Shinra either punch his face or kick his face, but he's just this much off as he gets reflected back. This dude is an absolute reflector, and he makes sure he lives up to that title, and I love how his goons could literally just stand by grinning the whole time. I felt incredibly bad for my boy Shinra, but at the same time, I'm like, I understand why they're grinning. because it looks absolutely like a fool's game, and our boy is the biggest fool. He's the devil, he's the hero that's gonna save everyone, and it was really nice to see how they continued the build up here. And the fact that they didn't just let him win with a one-shot KO, it kind of does show me that Fire Force isn't playing by their traditional rule set. We've already known that, but it is nice to have that reminder, especially in crucial moments like this, where up until this point he's felt like an absolute impenetrable wall, and he still is. He's definitely damaged, and he's pretty impressed by that, but he's not down for the count yet. And that's really nice to me. If they made Shinra lose, I wouldn't be disappointed in the slightest, because it does feel like an impossible foe for one person to deal with. Maybe Shinra in the future could, but just not yet. So I'm wondering if Arthur's going to be able to deal with his opponent, get into there in time. There's a lot of uncertainties with this battle, and I'm really curious, because after he delivered that blow, he was basically panting, "Give me the girl." He had almost no energy left. Where is he going to go from here? Is he going to get a second wind? I don't know, and that's really fun and really exciting. On the whole Demon Infernal side, I thought that was badass, because just the whole idea of having just multiple crews kind of come in and we're just seeing familiar weapons, the whole idea of turning like heat into sound and sound into ice is absolutely fantastic, and I thought that was going to be a one-shot KO as well. Both Shinra's one-shot KO and then you have the whole icicle situation. I thought that's how it'd be, because in most battle shonens, anything where you're fighting the enemy like this, that's how it would traditionally go. But then Fire Force is like, hell no, we're just gonna break this icicle, and we're gonna make you fight for your life. If you're giving something the title of Demon Infernal, make sure it is absolutely powerful, and the fact that it took an entire crew to take this down is amazing. Not only that, because you just look at how many flames are in the background, it definitely feels more than just you're fighting this opponent. It's like you literally have to protect the buildings, the architecture, and the people while simultaneously dealing with this. How do you do that? And the fact that my boy came up with the best plan I think you can probably come up with. Hey, let's take all of the flames. We'll basically kind of like drag this demon along so we can gather all the flames. We'll use our witch in the making here to make a giant ass flame tornado. We'll send that bastard in, and then we'll basically blow him up. Because this boy, if you just keep destroying him, it's not enough. You have to have the absolute maximum heat, and only 2 people have ever been able to do that, and they're not with us right now, and we don't even know if Shinra would be able to deal with that, not to mention he's on his own mission. So we have to make our own giant-ass flame, and it was pretty badass. I think with how they were hyping it up, I was actually interested, could they live up with that level of destruction? And when I saw this flame vortex, I was basically clapping my hands, I was cheering, I was like, this is exactly what you want to see. That there's still tricks up, not only just Fire Force's character sleeves, but just the ideas and creativity as well. Like, who predicted a railgun flame tornado? Not me, and probably not a lot of people unless you read the manga. And it was pretty badass, and they even were able to introduce some comedy to it, like our captain not being familiar with games and things like that, so he's unable to shoot, so you just ram that bastard in as you just watch chaos unfold, and it was pretty great. I actually really liked just the inspiration behind their side, because it felt like it's no longer one team's mission, they've kind of built something here during this. Not only did they avoid having a catastrophe to the same degree that they've had in the past, they've definitely brought together people who generally wouldn't work together. So I'm curious if that's going to hold through with future battles and just investigations and things like that. Obviously not everyone came through, as the comedic jokes did say. You know, like, hey, people just don't pick up the phone sometimes. But there definitely is more of a unity, and it really deflects the power of Company 8, which I think is important, and probably shows the people behind the scenes who are not so righteous that they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them, and that's what you want to see. Fire Force over the past few weeks has been non-stop adrenaline-pumping action sequences while simultaneously showing a really interesting story. Every punch, every flame, every infernal, and every anxiety-pumping scene, it felt like it's building up to a story, and it definitely is doing so with grace. This definitely isn't one of those shows that you just look at surface level and say, okay, the reason we watched is because it has really fun fights, and the flames continue to impress me and still stand out as being my favorite flame animation that I've seen in the anime medium, at least for a television production, and at times it feels like a movie production, such as sometimes with that flame vortex. It definitely feels to me that every time these characters are rushing towards an action piece, it's because they're worried about the civilians and them dying, or you have Shinra just wanting to protect a girl who he sees as someone who's going to be tormented and just basically her mind's going to be manipulated. But then also he has his family side and the fact that he doesn't know his own demons and what's going on inside his head. There's all these little things happening as you're simultaneously watching some of the best fight scenes 2020 is going to see. And it's incredible. It really, really is. It feels like Fire Force is on a roll. And I'm just wondering if they can keep this momentum going the entire 24 episodes. Because if they can, this will be one of the best second seasons a battle shonen has ever seen. I'm expecting there'll be a couple of slower moments, but if they can keep this level of excitement, not just with action, but just character pieces, drama, and things like that, while also incorporating some fun comedy along the way, because honestly, the second season has blended serious and comedy the best that we've seen, even comparing to the first season, which had some pretty good moments, had some few kind of like sloppy moments, but overall it was a really good blend. I really hope they continue this momentum. It's incredible. It just feels like every episode's getting more exciting, more intriguing, and it leaves your mouth watering for more, even though you think like how much more drool can you produce for this show, and every week you're like, I guess this amount. This was incredible. I'm very excited for more. I think the animation was spot on, especially with some of those flames and just the explosions. It was great to see a constant shift in the presentation, and our boy Shinra's voice actor deserves a lot of credit for getting that pain across, because he was getting it just his ass handed to him, and it felt like his voice actor went in to really deliver a stellar performance, with Kara being, well, an absolute just, he's having a blast here, and it can definitely show in his delivery. As always though, let me know your thoughts and opinions. For source material readers, how did you enjoy the adaptation? And for anime originals, do you expect anything? And what did you love the most about this episode? Whatever you're feeling, do let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you have been around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.